So things have changed so much in the world, and to be profitable, it's always been really important for integration companies to be meticulous about things like project planning and execution. But I feel like in the current environment, that's become even more critical. But I want to get your take on that.
Well, I think that's probably right, but I guess it depends on the pandemic's impact on a given business. So, I read that NSCA reported that system integrator revenues are down on average about 9% as a result of COVID-19. And so to maintain their bottom line, there's two things integrators need to do to compensate for that revenue shortfall. One is cut costs, but that's really hard to do because infrastructure costs are fixed often, like rent and utilities and insurance. And the other option is to run a tighter ship. And that is just in terms of project planning and execution to eke out more profit on every project. So in truth, it probably takes a combination of the two, but the variable one is just do a better job running projects.
Well, you talk about running a tighter ship. What are some best practices that integration companies should really have in place if they want to make sure they're paying as much attention to their bottom line as possible?
Good question. So, as an athlete, I spend a lot of time observing and even studying what's involved in becoming a world-class athlete or team. And some of my observations, I would say that mediocre athletes and teams develop race or game strategies, and world-class athletes and teams understand that planning and preparation is as or more critical to the overall performance than the on the court or on the field or race day strategy. So by preparedness, I mean training and stretching regimen, diet, sleep, knowing the competition or the course if it's a race, and of course, mental preparedness. And so I can convert that philosophy to the electronic systems world easily. It's important to acknowledge that profit dollars can slip away or slip through the cracks at any stage of a project. But my point about planning and preparation is that the profit dollars are lost often well before the project gets underway. So every mistake in the sales, design, and planning process have down the road implications and cut into project profitability. You asked specifically about best practices. I have a list that I developed years ago. I have 10 profit pitfalls that I can easily convert to best practices, and I'll quickly run through those. And the first is to create an accurate and comprehensive scope of work. And that includes, by the way, your contract provisions or exclusions. And without it, setting those expectations, you're going to get caught with unanticipated corrections at the end of the job, and that can be painful. The second one is don't underestimate labor. Be careful to review the plans and specs thoroughly and assess the implications relative to labor time, and ask about site access, ask about site conditions and project pace and reporting requirements and meeting schedules and all the things that are going to impact the labor on the project. And don't forget things like QC testing and warranty work. Thirdly, consider extras like freight charges, rental equipment, storage, and the like. Number 4, avoid design oversights. These are silent killers that nickel and dime companies to death. 5th, develop a project plan. You do that by mapping out the details of the project in ways that avoid inefficiencies, reduce return visits, make the best of your talent pool, right, and synchronize properly with other trades. And then 6th, I would say, and often overlooked but critically important, is to consider potential risks and develop risk mitigation strategies. In the sports world, a runner, for example, might need to think about what happens if it rains, or a basketball team might need to think about what happens if a player is sick. So a good example in the systems integration world is if you have a lot of a particular product going onto a job that has a high failure rate, order spares, right? That's a good risk mitigation strategy. So those 6 are all related to before the project even getting underway on site. And then the next 4, which I'll run through quickly, are to capture all change orders, never give away parts or free labor, schedule only the labor time required and no more. Don't put a team on a job for 2 weeks when, by your estimation, the work can be done in 7 or 8 days. It's human nature to fill the time that's allotted. And I guarantee they will work a full 10 days if you give them 10 days, even though it could have been done in 7. Let's say next is to perform exhaustive QC testing and efficiently manage the punch list through completion, and kind of sprint to the finish mentality. And lastly is to hold a formal closeout meeting with all stakeholders to put a stake in the ground stating that the project is complete and the warranty period has begun. Otherwise, somehow these projects keep rolling on and on and on, and no one knows when they're done, and that'll eat up labor time ad infinitum.
No, that's really good stuff. And Randy, you mentioned athletics, and you are also a former integrator. You had an integration company, and now you're a software provider, obviously at D-Tools. From D-Tools' perspective, what are some specific ways you guys can sort of help companies with some of these things? Like from a D-Tools point of view, with project planning, execution, what can you guys do to help?
Well, I think there's a lot that we can do. D-Tools was designed with 2 key precepts in mind. The first is design accuracy, and the second is operating efficiency. As such, I think D-Tools helps customers account for most all of these pitfalls that I outlined. I'll run through some examples. Proposal templates and our proposal wizard are set up in a way that ensure that users enter a complete scope of work and contract provisions or exclusions to protect against gotchas down the road. We automatically estimate labor, and that's based on NSCA and other industry standard labor factors. Further, labor items can be calculated automatically in using project templates for things like system design, project management, QC testing, warranty work, and even freight, travel, and more. This way, everything labor related is automatically accounted for. We can reduce, if not eliminate, design oversights with our software through the use of packages and required or optional accessories. Plus, the fact that our bill of materials is always and necessarily in sync with their drawings makes it so potential oversights are easily identified and corrected. So we're protecting our customers from design oversights. Next, I'll move to kind of project planning, and we've added a slew of features recently that help with project planning and ensure a kind of tight execution. And that starts with what we call a custom reusable checklist that can be used to set up a step-by-step process map where all the tasks involved in completing a project are thought through and documented up front. Those tasks that are outlined in that process map can be pushed straight into our new Gantt chart feature, and to quickly and effortlessly create a project plan. And then those tasks from the Gantt chart can be used to create installation tasks. So it creates this data-driven workflow from step-to-step process map to Gantt chart to installation task, that eliminates the need for double entry while at the same time ensures that no critical steps are missed along the way. And the last couple of things I'll note is that change orders, which are missing change orders will kill you, are auto-created in our software. Whenever there's a change to the bill of materials or a drawing, it auto-creates a change order. We also, and those are staring you in the face all the time because they're sitting there where something needs to be done to them. There's a pending change order view that we encourage project managers to put on their dashboard so they can always make sure they're attending to these outstanding change orders when they exist. From a scheduling standpoint, if we move to that, we allocate labor time on a per item basis in the bill of materials. And that assures project managers know exactly how much time should be allocated to a schedule so they don't have to guess and put guys on the job for longer than is needed. So that tightens up the scheduling in a significant way. Again, that custom checklist feature can be used for punch list creation and management to make sure that punch lists are closed out, tasks are assigned, and we're tracking the completion status of each of those items. So all in all, I think we address most all of those project pitfalls I outlined, and improve throughput along the way. And for those customers that exploit the full capabilities of our software, they will indeed regain profit dollars that might have been lost as a result of the pandemic or any other influence to the business.
Good stuff. Randy Stearns, CEO of D-Tools. NSCA is really happy to have D-Tools on board as a 2020 Pivot to Profit sponsor. And, for you to come on and help us to lead some of these business transformation conversations, Randy, we really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Tom. I appreciate it. And I look forward to future conversations.